The one of one is missing.
I knew something was up.
Pop, that's almost twice as much going for the same price.
I just freaking love that Rated Rookie logo.
Doing more buying.
Which one of these 5 quarterbacks has the worst set of pass catchers to throw the football to?
That's how much I sniped this for an auction.
Number to 5, you dirty animal.
I'm telling you, these optic on-card autos are money.
Let's go. His name is Andy. My name is Carter, and we are all a part of the NoOffSeason.com network. But Andy, there is a big problem with being a part of the No Off Season network. It's the only problem, because I love it, is that we're actually in season. All this off-season grinding, all this off-season buying, all this off-season prospecting, we are finally here. And because you didn't release your typical video yesterday because you had an absolutely busy day as you move, we're going to go through all the data you would have shared in yesterday's video. And which player do you want to start off with?
Well, I actually thought that this player, I thought Bryce Young would be going up more after this final preseason week than he is. So he's not number one. And in fact, like I went and looked, whenever I go and look into his sold market, he had a few buy it now sales over the weekend, but still way behind guys like Anthony Richardson and of course CJ Stroud and Will Levis. So I was actually surprised because he looked really crisp, but just from a pure performance standpoint, the guy plays one series, goes 6 for 8, and hits Deontay Johnson on the run, looking crisp out there. Like, this is the bright. He did not look like the check down Bryce Young from last year at all, man. And if this is the Bryce Young that we're going to get this year, this is interesting.
Yeah, and as I've shared, I actually traded, I never thought I would do this, a Jaden Daniels card recently, Jaden Daniels auto, to get into some Bryce Young at a recent show. I am in on him being better. And what was interesting, Andy, was I didn't think Carolina's play calling, I did a film study on that Bills game on Power Hour NFL. I thought the play calling was kind of strange, right? They had a few concepts where receivers are kind of running into each other, and Bryce was still able to produce. Now, once again, Von Miller wasn't out there. The Bills, like second, third, and fourth stringers were out there. So, yeah, I don't think anyone is going to think that Bryce Young is going to get on CJ's level, but the price discrepancy is crazy. We've not had a number one overall pick just totally crash out in a very long time. So I expect, like you, Andy, that he's going to play just a tad bit better and have a few good weeks this year.
Yeah, and as you can see, Optic Holo PSA 10 that closed an auction today. Now, this could be safe for later at Hobby Tip, but closing an auction at this time on a Tuesday, not a great idea.
Ooh.
But Optic Holo PSA 10 for Bryce Young closing 160 today. And I kind of pulled up this Prism, but let's pull up the Panini Donruss Optic here, solds for 2023 athletes, kind of get an idea of what the Optic Holo, like Will Levis, average of 121. You see a lot of demand popularity for the shock cards. The shock cards are very popular. Let's look at what Anthony Richardson's currently closing at an auction.
Ooh.
About 200 to 250. And Anthony Richardson had a very mixed result this past weekend with 1 touchdown and 1 interception. Only a 69.3 rating here on PFF, and took a sack on 14 attempts. Carter, what did you think about Anthony Richardson there in that Bengals game?
Yeah, so I thought the first drive was really good, really scripted. I thought, his footwork obviously could get better. And one thing that was interesting on the touchdown drive was how good the play calling was. I thought that was one of the more beautifully scripted play called drives by Shane Steichen, who, Andy, is in my top 5 play caller rankings, along with Kyle Shanahan, Andy Reid, Mike McDaniel. And I think after those big 3, I have Steichen in that 5-4 range. So I think he's going to increase Anthony Richardson's production quite a bit. You just need AR to quit with these mistakes. And I understand that the pick six, it's being discussed, Andy, that it was actually the receiver's fault on the pick six. Okay. But while that is partially true, there are so many of these instances when Anthony Richardson plays where is it the receiver's fault or was it his fault? There's so many of that. So Anthony Richardson, low completion percentage quarterback, a guy that I'm high on. I picked the Colts to win the AFC South. I'm kind of fading on that right now, Andy. But he's going to put up big weeks. And I still think he's going to be productive, even though Andy, as a thrower, he still has a long way to go. And it's important to note this, Andy. Arm strength does not equal great quarterback play, because if it was, Joe Milton would be starting over every quarterback in the NFL right now. So AR still a long way to go if you ask me.
Yeah, and Joe Milton kind of reminds me of like the same similar build, right? Joe Milton's like a big boy, and so is Anthony Richardson in terms of just physical size. So yeah, that is an interesting correlation there. But yeah, I felt the same way. Like there's so much sold volume for Anthony Richardson, but I think a lot of that is because the increased supply, and he is such a chalky guy with that early first round capital and that athleticism and everything. But yeah, it's a little concerning because accuracy is so important in the NFL.
Yeah, and one final thing on that, Andy, is the biggest card of his has already been pulled in the optics set. And guess who it was pulled by, Andy?
Backyard breaks.
Backyard breaks. Pulled it again. Well, what do you know? And I know the backyard break argument is, well, they rip so much product. So if they rip so much product, they're going to hit the big hits. If you rip so much product, maybe. But I mean, it's every single grail known to mankind that they pull. It's either they pull it or somebody in China pulls it. So it is what it is. I have no hate towards backyard break. I just find that to be very interesting. So let me ask you this, Andy. Do you still think there is a path forward for the Colts to make the playoffs this year?
A path forward to make the playoffs? Sure. Yeah, play calling, everything. I mean, yeah, there's a path. It's just, it looks like it's going to be a lower probability hit than what maybe we thought earlier in the preseason. But I gotta wait till we see him in regular season. Let's see what happens, man. That's looking at the schedule. They're going to be tested right out of the gate. Division matchups, it's not going to be easy. So let's see.
Houston week 1, Green Bay week 2, and the growing Chicago Bears week 3. And we'll talk about Caleb today as well. So Andy, the next player we want to discuss is who?
It's Carson Steele for the Kansas City Chiefs. And this was actually, they played Chicago, but no Caleb Williams this week. It's like, finally, all right, let's rest. The Bears rested virtually like all their starters. So did the Chiefs. This cat, Carson Steele, has gone up in value over the preseason. He's been like, the Deuce Vaughn of this preseason here, Carter. And this past game was no exception. I mean, he went 4 carries for 50 yards, 12.5 yards per carry with a long 31-yard touchdown. So it's like, this cat has gone up. So I'm going to share some of his prices and get your take on Carson Steele here. But check out this. This is an auction that ended today. Sage Auto here with the hand serial number on the front of the card, the handwritten with his auto, out of $156. Then there was another auction yesterday that's the same card, but it's a jersey number match here that went for twice as much for $100. And I'm going to pull up some comps to show you how low these cards were a couple months ago. Unbelievable growth in the value of Carson Steele cards over the past few days here. I mean, look at this, $300 for a leaf metal draft bound 1/1. Unbelievable money is being spent on Carson Steele right now.
Yeah, so we actually have a lot of sharps in our Discord that's been banging the Carson Steele drum. Tim, I think, mentioned him. Derek who goes by Caden Salter. He's not in here right now. He's been telling me to go draft and buy Carson Steele. He told me that a month ago. I wish I would have listened. Andy, it's the Chiefs. Anybody that's a skill guy on the Chiefs, even if they totally flame out like Sky Moore or Kadarius Toney, their prices go way up. Andy, you made, as you could see in the open, your one of your Kadarius Toney flips is in the open of the video that we do every single week. So it's the Chiefs tax, and Carson Steele has that Mike Allstott kind of vibe to him, even though he's not as good or as big. He's still a tank, and that RB2 room with Clyde Edwards-Helaire dealing with something, and Deneric Prince as the only other guy he could beat out. Steele, $1.49 now into $100 to about $50 as well.
Yeah, well, this one's not serial number to add to his jersey number and stuff, but these are just like the silver ones, which if you go back to ended recently are at like that $40 range right now. So yeah, back in June, these Sage Autos for Carson Steele were $5 or less total out the door. Now they are $30 to $40 cards if you can get your hands on it. So it's like he's become a chase guy out of the Sage set, and hopefully Panini printed them and printed him in the score set. Also, I would be interesting to see if they printed him in the new Panini Instant cards. So, and I doubt they have, but like you said, he's on the Chiefs. So Caleb Williams has new Panini Instants that are being advertised for sale from preseason games. Wait till you see these. They actually, I got to go to Ended recently because I got his highest cards here. But check these out. So he's got preseason August 10th Caleb Williams cards. Williams lets loose in preseason debut cards that are selling like hotcakes. Bo Nix has got some. Some of the other premier quarterbacks have these cards now out for sale. It's like, guys, you barely got I also noticed my camera's gone. You barely got the NFLPA, first look cards to your consumers, and you're already coming out with preseason debut instance.
Wait, what happened to you, Andy? You okay?
I'm okay. Hold on. There I am.
I love your infrared camera with all that data at the bottom of it. But yeah, obviously I wouldn't recommend people going to buy these just for the sake of buying them, because I do love cards that represent a moment in time that show like a specific kind of instant date, whatever. But this is a preseason game, so I don't know how much of people are going to want this card down the road. But $6, I guess it's not bad if you absolutely want to get a Caleb Bears rookie card logo out there.
Yeah, see, this is the thing. We also don't know the print run on these. It's going to be serial numbered on the back, like one out of whatever, several thousand, I imagine.
Right. Yeah.
But like these are all pre-sale. Like even this guy that appears to have the card in a one touch is just photoshopped. It's not actually in a one touch. He doesn't actually have these yet. These are something that just released on Panini's website. People buy them and then they technically kind of own them, and then they get shipped, a month or two later. And this, in today's day and age, maybe like 2 months later. So yeah, I found it pretty fascinating that Caleb Williams here has all these new cards that were popping off here. And no, he didn't play this last week, but obviously looking very strong. His ADP has gone up in Fantasy Carter. His values of what people are paying for his cards are pretty insane. Like to get his autos, it's down that several $1,000 range for like Tops Now stuff, as you can see.
Let's take a look at these patches here, Andy. I've not seen this card yet. So go ahead and click on that card right here in this one touch. Okay. What is that a patch from?
Player worn memorabilia.
Numbered 1 out of 5. Interesting.
Yeah. I mean, It's player worn, but I'm guessing it's similar to if you've ever seen the picture of Mark Ingram at
Yeah, of course.
the top signing event where he's got like 50 jerseys on. I'm guessing it was some, Michael Rubin hosted Fanatics event where, Caleb put on 30 jerseys while he had a drink with Tom Brady and talked about the finer things in life. And that's considered player worn. This is like jersey 4 out of 15 that was on his body at one time.
I do want to shout out Michael Rubin and Fanatics Fest, and I want to, if you're watching right now, Rubin, you need me and Andy on those stages with Tom Brady and Drewski and those guys next year. We are willing to take that trip to New York City. Would you want to go, Andy, and do our show live from there?
No interest, Carter.
None at all. Okay?
None at all.
If the powers that be of Fanatics want us to actually bring an actual crowd, the Rich Eisen show has nothing, and I mean nothing, on the nooffseason.com network football card quest. So we are willing to go. Now, Andy, let's get to a few more players that you wanted to discuss because you couldn't get your video in, and then we'll take a few more questions here from our viewers.
Trevor Lawrence, man. Trevor Lawrence, it's been the Mac Jones show, but we got a good look at Trevor Lawrence this week, looking very, very sharp here, man. I mean, they burned the Falcons, but of course the Falcons aren't starting any of their starters. But Trevor Lawrence puts on a show, going 8 for 10, throwing 2 touchdowns, a rating of 144.6, so almost flawless here. Evan Ingram is the big winner from those touchdowns. So, and Evan Ingram has been a guy that finished like a top 3 fantasy tight end last year. I mean, Evan Ingram from 2017 is a real player that I think you can sink your teeth in as well. But Trevor Lawrence really goes off big time this past week, Carter. And that just, talking about the AFC South, man, here's another team that I think could exceed expectations from a smaller market in Jacksonville. But Trevor Lawrence, obviously with the draft clout and his whole history, I think there is from 2021, Trevor Lawrence is definitely the most hyped quarterback, hands down,
No doubt. Andy, it's weird with Trevor. And obviously Caleb Breaches is on the same level of hype, but Trevor was compared to, Andrew Luck, and Trevor is a football card force. He loves actually football cards as well. He went to the Super Bowl, did a thing with Panini, and then has his own Topps product and all of that. So there is an unreal amount of Trevor product that is out there because he was that first full class after the big sports card boom in 2020 with Burrow and those guys. So there is just so much Trevor print run and just stuff that's out there. But Andy, one stat that I keep coming back to is his age, right? It's weird to think that Michael Penix is older than Trevor Lawrence. Bo Nix and Trevor Lawrence are the same age, right? And I always share this when it comes to quarterback play. It's such a mental thing. Your brain really doesn't stop forming as an individual until you're 25 years of age. Maybe we just haven't seen the best of Trevor Lawrence yet. And I know I've been very critical of Trevor. I've always thought he was just a little overvalued. I don't think he's one of the elite AFC guys. But Andy, the number one team on my NFL channel are the Jaguars. Outside of the Commanders, the Jaguars are really blowing my stuff up. And I've really spent a lot of time going back and watching Trevor. He really needed a Brian Thomas, right? Calvin Ridley really wasn't the fit that they were looking for. Brian Thomas might not be as good as Calvin Ridley, but he's a little bit better of a fit for this offense. And Andy, he looks so sharp. And I understand it's just preseason, but a lot of the throws he made, Andy, would have still been completed against starters, if you ask me. So I have grown on Trevor Lawrence going into next year, and you might have missed your opportunity to buy a little bit low-ish because I do think there is a world, Andy, where he does make the Pro Bowl and crack that tough AFC QB hierarchy.
Yeah, and you look at his silver prism especially. I mean, we talk about CJ Stroud being at $1,000 for his silver prism PSA 10. Trevor Lawrence here had a buy it now $1,200 on his silver prism PSA 10 on Saturday. This was
Ooh.
likely a result from the game. You can see $1,000 auction, $2,000 auctions in the weeks prior. So great indication there of a nice bump, a nice increase. It also is important to point out that on this silver prism from 2021, Trevor Lawrence, he only had an 8% conversion rate of all the PSA 10. So
Yes.
huge difference from the PSA 9 that's selling like $150 to the 10 that's selling for over 1,000. It's really become a grade chasing type of car. I mean, you could get the raw card for around $100, but it's like if you get a 10 on that, the normal conversion is like 3 to 5x increase. This card is literally a 10x increase if you can get a PSA 10 on it.
Yeah, Andy, sometimes I just want to submit all my Silver Prism rookies of these guys. Yeah, I know recently over the past month, we've talked so much about Silver Prisms just in general, how it's always just a coveted card. But since there's not a whole lot of them, but since you don't know the exact print run of them, it's always a weird thing when it comes to its condition. But you take a look at some of these rookie ticket autos. I love Trevor's penmanship. 378 raw. That's interesting to me.
It's low, and keep in mind the date here. The ending date on this auction was Saturday, so I don't know exactly what time, but it could have been timed before the game and stuff. What I will say, a partly reason why this is so low is because of the raw to PSA 10 conversion rate. There's so many known issues with the base contenders rookie ticket autos from 2021 that a lot of people, like shady people, were. This is the year that they were. A lot of people were caught trimming this card because there were so many edge and corner issues, and so that's why you'll see a big difference. Look at it, 8.5 from Beckett and 9.5. That's optic. You will find that the PSA 10s go for a lot more on his base contenders rookie ticket autos, similar to that conversion increase that we see from his silver prism, just because the grade rates are so low, man.
Absolutely. All right. Before we go to another player, let's take a few questions. Once again, if you want to get a question in immediately, if you hit that little $ super chat button, we go straight to it after we are done talking about the topic that we are talking about, and all the money goes to Andy. Okay. Dave says, I'm new to the hobby. I hit a Justin Jefferson downtown 2021. Would you guys hold or flip Jay Jettas? I think I would hold on to that because, if he has a nuclear game, I think people would be willing to go after it. I would also hold on to it because I collect this stuff. So I might actually be a buyer. So you can hit me up at Carter the Power. But Andy, I guess it would just depend on what you want to do with it. But I would hold on to it and wait for Jefferson to get a nuclear game because one of those are definitely in the chamber in the first couple of weeks.
Yeah, it's like he's so hyped up still, but at the same time, he's been really quiet. So it's not going to take much for it's like all of a sudden for his auctions, especially on cards like that, to just go crazy again and really get the premium that you'll want from it. So I would hold on to that card for a little bit as well, because he's one of those players that his values aren't going to go down. It's kind of like where Josh Allen is at right now, even if the guy's not getting to Super Bowls and stuff, he is looked at as one of the faces of the NFL, one of the best players. So his values aren't going to go down anytime soon. He's a great long-term hold player kind of card too.
Let's go to Ted. Ted, I'm just going to tell you, I would move wild card anything at this point. Caleb Williams, 6 out of 25. Do you think these cards are worth selling when his other cards do? I think it's a typo there. Yeah, Ted, I would move it. I think Andy, you would agree as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Let's go to PKev. Can Tyquan Thornton finally going to live up to a second round speed burst? Yeah, that Patriots wide receiver room is just weird, Andy. I think that room is just going to cannibalize each other if we're being honest.
Yeah, I'm more interested in the rookies, just because they are rookies. Jalen Polk, Javon Baker. I just heard that they picked up Juju Smith-Schuster again. Oh, no, the Chiefs picked. They dropped Juju Smith-Schuster. The Chiefs picked him up.
Yeah, but that kind of leads into is the next question here. Could Juju eat into the reps of some of the receivers that are there? But first off, PKev, they are not close, Xavier Worthy and Tyquan Thornton, when it comes to prospects. Worthy is the fastest NFL receiver ever for just going by 40-yard dash times. Overall better route runner, overall better offense, overall better quarterback. Their situations aren't even close. And where these prices before he even plays has already gone up, just like we talked about a minute ago with Carson Steele, the Chiefs tax, and also he played at a big school like Texas. So Worthy, I think, actually will be pretty good. And yeah, I just think Xavier Worthy's going to have a good year. I don't think you have to worry about him just being a total bust.
Yeah, and actually, while we're talking about the Patriots and the Chiefs tax, the Patriots tax is big. I think it's only a matter of time right now. You look at the way Drake Maye played this last weekend. He's on my top 10 going up this week. 99.2 passer rating, 126 yards, throws a touchdown. Also showcased his legs a little bit with 3 carries for 17 yards, a 17-yard long run. And Jacoby Brissett has not really done anything to show that he deserves a starting job. So I'm like, when you draft a guy in the top 10, there's only so long you go before you give him the starting nod. And Drake Maye, also with limited rookie cards, also a Fanatics exclusive athlete. He is definitely going up. I mean, these combo, like Carter, these biggest transactions are on these combo autos with Caleb, your boy Jaden, and Drake. I mean, these cards in PSA 10 are going for close to $2,000, 1,800 in buy it nows. And I've never been a fan of like multiplayer autos, but this one's pretty good. I mean, because they're all rookie quarterbacks. It's got like that flip appeal.
Yeah, we have a commenter, which Drake cards. What's interesting is North Carolina last year, he was in a Bowman first, but honestly, anything NFL is really going to push in. There's all these instant cards here with Drake Maye. Andy, I'll tell you what the film told me. He's really good. I really like Drake Maye. I really like JJ McCarthy as well. But man, Drake Maye just has so much natural athletic ability. When you factor in the size, you factor in the arm strength, you factor in his rushing ability. I did have him overall. Like Jaden is way faster, and Jaden himself has a really good arm. But athletically, Drake Maye is what you want out of a QB. And he looked really good. I mean, there's just no other way around it. Is he going to stink this year? Probably, because the Patriots supporting cast is absolute dog water at this point. But Andy, I am very much in on Drake Maye eventually becoming one of the good quarterbacks in the AFC.
Yeah, and his market is tough to crack. Like, you really almost have to spend up and get one of these tops now autos right now, because if you're gonna buy one of these scores for $1, the upside on this is maybe a few bucks. Like we've seen the Jaden ones and the Caleb ones going for like $5. So that's your upside. And I'm with you, Carter. I think that it's only a matter of time, like maybe days, weeks tops, like before the season starts, that the Patriots are going to announce Drake Maye as their starter. And when that happens, I do expect a significant increase in the prices because he plays for the Patriots and he's a rookie quarterback with that draft capital and everything. So, yeah, I mean, like, look at this for an example. You have 2 black out of 99 PSA 10 tops now rookie autos. One sells for $580 in a buy it now. The other one sells for $465 in an auction format that has that make offer button. So if you can find one of these in an auction and make an offer like that, understand, like, for between $400 and $500, you've already got $80 of upside in it. And then if the news is dropped that he's the official starter of the Patriots, this card's going to go up even more. I don't think that the Drake May market is going to change a whole lot because people chase rookie autos so much, and he is a Fanatics exclusive athlete. I think that these are going to go up to at least like $750 here, and especially in this PSA 10 condition. So that's what I would be looking for if I'm going to attack Drake May. It's just unfortunate that there's not like a $50 card or something that I think you can really get into right now that's worth your time. I think you kind of have to go for one. I mean, look, there's a PSA 9 of that card that sold for $175. I think that's a pretty solid opportunity, man.
Card Hunter says he has this exact card as a PSA 9. Let's take one more before going into a hobby tip of the week. Blake Knower says, any thoughts of JJ McCarthy becoming a Fanatics exclusive? Do you think the Panini Instant Auto will be his only pro uniform auto card?
JJ McCarthy?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, probably. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. That's if he did become a Fanatics exclusive athlete. Yeah, that's going to be it. It's going to be very similar to what we saw last year with CJ Stroud, where he had the Panini Instant card, and then he became a Fanatics exclusive, and then he no longer signed any other Panini cards. It was all Fanatics from there on out.
Jason Mann and quite a few people, Andy, started talking about Jackson Dart. Okay. So I think one thing that could happen with prospecting and people that like to do that kind of stuff, because there's so many like Fanatics now, and it's so hard to get like rookie autos. I think a lot of people are going to be more interested now that Fanatics owns, these Bowman First. They're going to be interested in college prospecting, and with a very ambiguous NFL draft class of quarterbacks, Jackson Dart is definitely worth a flyer, especially considering his early season schedule at Ole Miss is going to be absolutely terrible. So he'll put up absolutely big numbers. Also, Jackson Dart has a receiver that's probably going to be drafted in the first or second round. So, yeah, I mean, we have a few patrons that have bought quite a few Jackson Dart cards. And I believe in the 2023, that's not his Bowman First. 2022, he has Bowman First as well. But still, with the license, Ole Miss at $50-ish, sure, why not? I'll take one.
Yeah, his prices are pretty good. I'm looking at SGC 10 Bowman Chrome University from 2022 with the first that's sold for $80, and it was discounted here about $20. So listed buy now for 100, sold for 80, and the raw one sold for 50 of that same card. That's not a bad deal at all. And this is a great time to buy them, stash them for the draft or college football, playoff time period, the bowl games and stuff. And I mean, flip opportunities. I mean, for a quarterback with that kind of hype, I think that's smart play right there.
Yeah. Look, I think Ole Miss makes the playoff too. I do at this point. Even though they do like defensive depth, that's actually a good thing for Jackson Dart because he's going to have some absolutely massive games. So there you go. We'll get to more of your questions in a bit, but hobby tip of the week, Andy, I'll let you go first.
Yeah, so my hobby tip this week, check it out, man. I was actually saved by FedEx here. I got all my Panini Instant. So this is a video that's going to be coming out later this week. I got it. This is actually a heavy box. So there's a decent amount of cards in here from Panini. This should be all the rest of my instants. And this is my hobby tip. When you ordered from Panini Direct, and expect them to have like a 2-month delay at least from when they're going to ship your cards, and you have to anticipate if you're going to be moving, don't give them the address you're currently living at. You could give them the address you're going to be at 2 months from now. And because they're not going to respond to you, they're not going to answer the phone. These are the things you just got to know. You can put in all the support tickets and send all the emails you want. They're not going to respond. So you just have to, anticipate all this and give them the proper information. And if you don't, like in my case, as soon as I got the shipping notification, I reached out to FedEx, downloaded their app, verified my ID with them, and they held it for me at the FedEx location. So I was able in transit to have the package rerouted to a FedEx store so that I could actually pick it up. Like, thank God. So yeah, just anticipate all that with Panini. It's not like, when you submit your cards grading with CGC, where you can contact them, get a real person, and if you have a changing address between the time you submit and get stuff back, they'll gladly change that for you. Little plug there for CGC Card Grading, sponsor of the Football Card Quest and nooffseason.com. But yeah, so that's my hobby tip this week, Carter. And I'm excited for this video coming out later this week.
There you go. So I didn't want to say it, but that's part of why Andy didn't do a Monday video, because there are so many people that were on pins and needles hoping that you were going to get the product, because you're not a big complainer, right? You're just not. It's not really your brand. And I found it interesting that right when you said that, Fred McGriff himself, the crime dog, is in here. He said people are going to miss Panini one day. Book it. While I do agree with that, crime dog, right when you sent that comment in, it was right when Andy said it took 2 freaking months. That is so funny. Andy, my hobby tip of the week is always keep your base cards. Okay. I understand, especially if you rip a lot, they stack up and you just want to throw them away. I get it. Cards that aren't even worth the cardboard that they were printed on, right? Don't do it. Stack them up somewhere, because guess what, Andy? I always keep a lot of those just in here. And as you know, Andy, I have a bunch of neighborhood kids that ring my doorbell, want to talk, want to throw the football and stuff like that. And every time I see them, or near every time I see them, I give them a huge stack of just base cards that sit around. And they treat that card like if it's a Caleb Williams patch auto instant. Okay. And there are people like Dr. Collectible on Instagram that are trying to get as many base cards together, and they just want to give it away to kids. And guess what? If they gnaw on them or put them in their bike spokes like the good old days, nobody gives a damn, because they're base cards. You're just going to throw them away anyway. Don't toss them. Don't. All right. I have a buddy that tosses them, and I got onto him about that. I understand they pile up, especially if you rip, but don't throw them away.
Or yeah, I would throw them away.
Do you toss them?
No, I don't. So I'm not gonna lie. I've gotten some extra hockey cards in like some of my packages. Those I have tossed in the bucket. Sorry, hockey fans.
No,
they weren't rookies or anything like that. They were base extras, and I'm like, who wants these hockey cards? So I threw them in the bucket.
Guess what? You did society a favor, because nobody should care about hockey. F hockey, the worst sport ever made. I mean, Mike, who's buying hockey? The only cards that matter are the O-Pee-Chee Gretzky from Al Michaels yesteryear. Nobody cares about hockey. So you did us all a favor tossing those. I hope you flushed them down the toilet. I hope you lit them on fire. My goodness gracious. Well, Carter, they actually fight during the game. Well, if that's the case, I could just watch UFC if I wanted to watch fighting. But anyway, we move on before we get to plays of the week.
Yeah, man. A couple more players I want to mention are going up after this week. Interesting ones. Josh Dobbs, man. You remember Josh Dobbs from last year? He got all the hype going to Minnesota. He's now on the 49ers, and he's looking good this preseason. Brock Purdy's been stinking it up this preseason. Threw another interception this past week. Not another good debut for Brock Purdy. Another good debut for Josh Dobbs. Josh Dobbs is selling, as you can see. Someone shelled out $170 for a National Treasures NFL Shield patch, triple patch card. James Conner, the dog, Josh Dobbs, and the Schuster sauce here for $170. Josh Dobbs Spectra patch, no auto, selling here. Cheap card sell there for probably about $20. Josh Dobbs RPA, but his Silver Prism, stuff like that, being from 2017, they got up there last year with the Vikings. And now playing for San Francisco, if Purdy goes down or Purdy just starts playing so bad for whatever reason, maybe like he goes through a slump here, and they put Josh Dobbs in because he's a good game manager. The guy's actually got some decent talent. He's a serviceable NFL quarterback. I think these Josh Dobbs values could keep going up. As you can see, a lot of people paying buy nows for Josh Dobbs rookie cards right now.
The aerospace engineer. He's definitely
guy's smart.
Top 5 smartest quarterbacks. It makes sense. He picks up any system pretty quickly. Played in a hellacious environment at Tennessee. Ironically, his biggest claim to fame, Andy, was when he threw a Hail Mary touchdown pass at Tennessee versus Georgia to Jawan Johnson for the win. I highly recommend everyone go watch that clip. It is one of the most thrilling endings of a college football game you'll ever see. And now they're teammates in San Francisco. So I thought that's pretty cool. Man, he's just good. He's honestly the perfect backup as well. Fits that Shanahan scheme. And, you could get a little zone ready with the speed. But honestly, I know Brock Purdy threw a pick and he wasn't the absolute sharpest. I just finished my Brock Purdy film study from yesterday. It was actually really good. Brock did some really good things in that game. So he's going to have a long leash. But Dobbs is definitely one of the better backups, especially in that San Francisco system. So, as you know, Andy, backup quarterbacks, they could be big, big, big winners for you. And there is a world where Dobbs could be the guy in the playoffs if Purdy were to go down. So, very interesting.
Yeah, good team, man. You one piece of that team. Great handcuff there. It's kind of like, you're looking at 2017 rookies. I think some great sleeper. I would not spend any money on Mitchell Trubisky. I'd be buying some Josh Dobbs, and I'd be buying some Carson Wentz because he's backing up Patrick Mahomes. So you got 2 big-time Super Bowl contending teams, backup quarterbacks that have had hype in the past that could step in if they got starting opportunities. Man, the prices spike. You sell the cards, you make some money, you make some profit. Then you go buy whoever it is you want to collect. Like I want to collect Bucky Irving, and he's on my list of going up. Observation, Bucky Irving looks good between the tackles, man. This guy, I think, could threaten. I'll take a lot of carries away from Rachaad White and kind of force him more to the outsides. I'm excited about Bucky Irving. He's got very few cards to get into, unfortunately, but I do believe I've got some Panini Instant NFL First Look rookie auto Bucky Irving's in here, guys. So you're gonna have to watch the mail day.
I'm a little pissed that you said that because that was going to be my play of the week. Because Bucky has juice, man. There's a lot of young running backs that have looked really good. Ray Davis is someone else that I like a lot, but look, Bucky Irving, very fancy auto as well, 225. I love that card. It looks very nice as well. I think it definitely worth that price. So there you go. I'm in on the Buckster.
Yeah, who's the guy? Chase Edmonds. We picked up Chase Edmonds. He's going to start the season on IR.
He's
Rachaad White is just kind of clunky in the middle. Like he's a good receiving back, but he's lacked the explosiveness around the outside and stuff. He's gotten a little bit better. Sean Tucker has proven that. I mean, thus far he's been pretty much a bust in the NFL. His skills hasn't translated, and I think Bucky Irving could really take some serious workload and break off some big runs and put up some impressive highlights, man. I'm excited about him. Obviously, he plays for my home team too. That helps.
Interesting. Okay. Is there any other players before we get to plays of the week?
Well, yeah, I mean, we could go on. Yeah, are there any other that jump out to you here from this final preseason week?
Hendon Hooker is interesting to me if he does end up winning outright the Detroit QB job. I think he did enough this preseason to show me that he could play. I'm always very concerned of any QB in that Tennessee offense. It is such a popcorn offense that I love as a college guy. But it's so tough to go from that to actually running an NFL offense, right? But the Lions just have such an elite ecosystem that it's just hard for any QB to not succeed, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that does make a lot of sense. So can we completely stop the Trey Lance love? Like,
Oh God.
I mean, 5 interceptions this past week. Like, his playing time was expanded. Shout out to CeeDee Lamb because he gets a mega extension. They finally get that deal done. But Trey Lance here, he's got to be the QB3 on this team. I think they gave him all this playing time because they're really like, what do we do? Do we demote this guy to the practice squad? Do we even need him on the active roster kind of thing, right? Because this is the week where they have to go down from like 90 players to the 53-man active roster.
Yeah, Andy, this was definitely, and I see a lot of people shouting out some of my film stuff. Once again, I do want to make it clear that film study doesn't equal football card prices, because as bad as Trey Lance played, Zach Wilson played unfreaking believably well. Okay. And he's still probably going to be QB3 behind Stidham. So I want to say this about Trey Lance. I took the biggest beating saying that the Trey Lance game versus the Raiders was actually bad, even though his stats were good. The Raiders' defense was really bad. Just for me to feel vindicated that he had one of the worst preseason games ever. Now, what's interesting, Andy, in that game, he had some ridiculously high-level throws, but he also had 5 interceptions, which is inexcusable. And some of those picks weren't his fault. But truth is, you threw 5 interceptions in a preseason game versus backups. Stop it. Trey Lance isn't good. It's okay to move on and cut your losses, but he has got to be the QB3 behind Cooper Rush. I would not trust him at all. Now, I do think you could use him as like a wildcat guy, but Andy, I had so many people saying, well, we should start Trey Lance over Dak. Like a lot. And that let me know one thing, that the Dallas Cowboys fans remain the most delusional fans. Sometimes I feel like Cowboys fans, before they comment on social media or my YouTube channel or whatever, they take mushrooms before they do it. They get some of that Cheech and Chong Snoop Dogg, you know what I'm talking about stuff. And they inhale it and they decide, look, I'm going to educate the world on letting the world know that Trey Lance is a better quarterback than Dak Prescott. I was shocked that I saw it. So if you're a Cowboys content creator, I don't know how you do it. I couldn't deal with Cowboys fans each and every week. Hell, give me Taysom Hill. Give me the skin off the back of my ankle over Trey freaking Lance, throwing 5 interceptions in a single freaking game. Okay. So it is what it is.
Yeah. But let's move on to another guy I want to talk about here, and that is DK Metcalf. Seattle Seahawks looking really sharp. Opening drive, Geno Smith looking sharp. They kind of show off what they're going to be, putting together here in the regular season. DK Metcalf gets a nice touchdown here, 21-yard touchdown. And he has some pretty nice sold data over the weekend. Nice little spike here. And I want to ask you, like, between DK Metcalf and AJ Brown, rookie ticket autos, both from 2019. I guess we could throw in Terry McLaurin, but
no,
I'm just thinking,
what? Yeah, keep it with these two.
Yeah, keep it with these two. Which one would you rather have, given if the prices were exactly the same?
AJ Brown is just better. I mean, you could make a case AJ Brown is every bit as good as any elite guy when he's on. The one thing I like about DK Metcalf is that he's still with the Seahawks. I do like that, in that he's still, in his original jersey. But AJ Brown's just better, so give me AJ Brown.
Okay. He's a little bit more expensive, but as you can see, the buy it nows definitely increased. And I'm just looking at rookie ticket autos right now. But like this PSA 9 that's sold in buy it now today, out of 49, rookie ticket auto, $170. But just looking at the raw values, about $78 August 19th for DK Metcalf and $83 for the AJ Brown. That one is sealed by Panini. That always gives a little bit of a boost because people have like this perception that it's been untouched and it's like sealed from the factory. So maybe there's a little bit higher chance it's a PSA 10, or you just leave it in that case and it has a little bit extra value. But their prices are pretty much neck and neck between the two. I also agree. Think AJ Brown's a little bit better, but DK being drafted by the Seahawks, still on the Seahawks, and he's such a big personality as well, man. It's hard not to like the guy.
Look at the CGC 10 going on right here.
I know, man. Shout out to CGC Card Grading. They're 10s. I have more and more guys reach out to me that absolutely love the CGC Pristine 10 labels as well. They make a gold Pristine 10 label. So they've also got all these new holders coming out. They also authenticate event signed autographs with JSA. So yeah, man, they're doing everything right, growing the hobby. Their sold values are climbing and getting, inching closer and closer to PSA. And they're right there in the big three, with BGS and PSA. So yeah, nice optic red rookie ticket auto out of 199 CGC 10 for $150. Seller gave a nice discount.
There you go. Doctor the Card Hunter says, I've donated for years to kids and have also dumped a bunch in the trash to for the base card thing. Send it to Dr. Collectible on Instagram. I know he's taking a ton to kids, so send it to him. Right, I got plenty. But there you go. James says, I know I'm delusional. Okay, there we go. All right, Andy, it's time for play of the week. I saw Brad Nolan say Caleb is going to be better than Mahomes. Okay, sure.
Whew, man, he is high as a kite on that Caleb Williams.
Man, the Bears fans, dude, they don't know how to handle themselves.
Caleb has got them starstruck.
How's he going to be better than Mahomes if he's not better than Jaden freaking Daniels? Put that in your pipe and smoke it.
Yeah, he's got a couple Super Bowls to go. If the Bears and Caleb Williams gets to a Super Bowl in year one, Carter, hey, people may really start making that comparison.
All right, Andy, play of the week. Let's go.
Yeah, so I really like the Bucky Irving play this week. It feels good, especially because this time of the year we're so close to the season. I like to target deep sleepers. I like to target veteran players that have not been playing in the preseason at all. Like, I kind of think the quieter the guy has been, or the less known a player is, like, if the opportunity is there, like, that's why I like Bucky Irving, because the opportunity is there, yet it hasn't been too crazy. Like, he didn't rip off like the 60-yarder that Kenny McIntosh did for the Seahawks over the weekend. There's a guy, a little spike in sold volume, plus his supply so limited. Just hard to get into those cards. So yeah, it's hard for him to be a play. Like, if I actually had to give you guys a better play, I'd be looking at a guy like Trey McBride, who's kind of quieted down a little bit. Maybe target some Dalton Kincaid, because like it seems like he could be one of the, if not the target leader for the Bills, with turf toe to Curtis Samuel and Keon Coleman being a rookie, and the Bills are going to pass the ball a ton. So I want pieces of those offenses, guys that have been a little bit more quiet this preseason.
Okay. There's quite a few people that want to talk about Spencer Rattler. Is it worth getting some of his stuff in preparation for when he takes over for Derek Carr? Maybe so. I'm in the middle on Rattler's preseason performance. It was very good. Don't get it twisted. I broke down every one of his throws, but I'm still not sure if he's beat out Jake Hayner for the QB2 job just yet. And I still think the Saints, they don't like to admit when they're wrong. I think they'll keep Derek Carr in there quite a bit. My play of the week, I've gone down this well before, and I'll do it again, is Clayton Tune. Okay. So we get the news, and I appreciate someone posted in here that Desmond Ridder just got waived. So there's two sides of this play of the week. All right. Do I think Clayton Tune is amazing? No. But you got to remember, in Houston, he played with Tank Dell in his college career, and he was pretty good. If you actually go watch him, pretty good player. I love that Arizona ecosystem. If Kyler goes down, I could see Clayton Tune having a few good weeks. But, Clayton Tune rookie ticket autos go for like $10, $15. If he plays well, if he gets the opportunity, that goes what, Andy, $50, $60 maybe as one of a backup QB stash play. But I also want to point out that if you are a Kyle Pitts believer, or if you're a Drake London believer, what does this move tell you? Well, Desmond Ridder could not beat out Clayton Tune. He could not beat out Clayton Tune, who's not played really at all. Only a year two guy. Andy, Desmond Ridder was a starter. Like, the Falcons actually believed in him being good. And now he can't beat out Clayton Tune. All right. So whether you believe that Kirk Cousins is fully healthy, or you don't believe in Michael Penix or whatever, you would have to think that both of them are going to be better. So that's made me, I've not bought a whole lot of Falcons in fantasy. I'm still skeptical of the Falcons offense, but it does make me believe that much more in Drake London. It makes me believe that much more in Bijan Robinson and Kyle Pitts. It's also talking myself into Darnell Mooney, who I think is going to be locked into the 11 personnel sets. And I think Darnell Mooney is kind of sneaky at this point. So I'll go Clayton Tune if I play of the week, but I'm buying a little bit more so fantasy than actual cards into the Falcons offense.
Yeah, and I mean, you could just go straight for the Falcons starter and Kirk Cousins. I mean, Captain Kirk, maybe this is his year, man. This is really the fresh start. He's going to be electric in prime time where he struggled. Captain Kirk for the win this year. I just took Drake London. I'm at the second overall pick in a super flex league.
Okay.
And I took Mahomes with my number 2 overall pick, and it came back around to me. I took Drake London right there in the third. Trying to remember off the top of my head who I took in the second. I took Marvin Harrison Jr. in the second, at the end of the second, and then I took Drake London at the beginning of the third. And just because I do as well believe in what Zach Robinson and Raheem Morris are bringing to the Falcons here. Very excited about this opportunity for these Falcons skill position players. I think Kyle Pitts is going to exceed expectations. Drake London. Kirk Cousins is going to be the guy throwing the ball. Michael Penix got a lot of hype right now in the hobby. Some of his rookie cards selling for crazy amounts. I saw a Michael Penix rookie auto from the NFLPA first look that sold for thousands of dollars, man. I'll have to go pull it up. It sold for the crazy amount.
Damn.
I think it was a one of one instant. But yeah, it's crazy. Like, somebody bought it, buy it now. And look, Kirk hasn't budged. 30 days, 60 days. If I zoom out to 180 days, like, he really hasn't budged, man. Really has not budged in the Chrome, the Platinum, X-Fractor, his Prism rookie auto. And this is a first-year Prism. His first-year Prism PSA 10, less than $100. Sign me the freak up right here, brother. Damn. Look at that. Buy it now of 120 on May 6th, back earlier in the summer, and there's some hype. Now, $50 in auction. That does not add up. That just shows you how much easy upside there is in Kirk Cousins. So he just became my play of the week, but he fits into my mold I was telling you about being a veteran, having a quiet preseason.
There you go. Arturo Torres, I just gave you one. But with more releases, here's what I'll do. I'll share a few more thoughts on release days in the Patreon. So go sign up now. Go to nooffseason.com, click on Football Card Quest, click upgrade, and it'll send you to patreon.com/footballcards. And you can sign up. And guess what? I'll do it again this week. First person that signs up, I'll cover your first month. All you got to do is go sign up right now. Okay. And just let me know on Twitter, Instagram, and I'll Venmo you the $10, and you'll see you get access to Slab Hawk and all the extra stuff. So there you go. All right. I'll be sharing a few thoughts on releases and stuff like that right now in the Discord. Andy, anything else before we skedaddle here?
Nah, great show today. Absolutely hyped for the regular season and to open up this box. So stay tuned.
Can't wait for that. Let's go. We'll talk to you soon, baby. No off season.
All right.
Boom.
Peace.
Boom. Boom.